She was sure all was in order. Margot gave a nod of approval to the head clerk, Jasper, who unlocked the door and turned the sign in the window to indicate they were open for business. Only a few minutes passed before the brass bell on the door jingled, and one of her best customers crossed the threshold. And, as it always did when the Marquess of Fanworth entered her shop, Margot's breath caught in her throat. He was probably going to make another purchase for one of his many mistresses. There must be several Cyprians fawning over him. What single woman could wear as much jewellery as he seemed to buy? Since arriving in Bath, he'd visited her shop at least once a week. Sometimes it was twice, or more. When such a smart gentleman took a liking to her humble business, it brought other patrons with equally full pockets. That was the main reason she took such care to treat him well and stay in his favour. He was good for business. Or so she told herself. Who could blame her heart for fluttering, at least a little, upon his arrival? Lord Fanworth was a most handsome man. In her opinion, he was the handsomest man in Bath, perhaps in all of England. His chestnut hair gleamed in the morning sunlight, even as his broad shoulders blocked the beams that came to her from the open door. But it was so much more than his looks or his patronage that made him her favourite customer. He did not buy a bijou and hurry away. He lingered over each transaction, sipping wine and chatting with her in the private salon reserved for her most important customers. When they talked, it was as if there was no difference in their ranks. To speak with him made her feel as important as one of the great ladies who sometimes frequented the shop, dithering over the baubles in the glass cases that lined the walls of the main room. In truth, she felt even more important than that. They might speak briefly with Lord Fanworth in the crush of the pump room or the assembly rooms, but each time he visited de Bryun's, she had his full attention for an hour, or sometimes more. He treated her like a friend, and she had far too few of those. Today his emerald green eyes lit when they fell upon her standing behind the main counter. "Margot," he greeted her with a bow and a broad smile. "You are looking lovely this morning, as always." "Thank you, Mr. Standish." That was how he had introduced himself on the first day he had come to her, not with a title, but with his surname, as though he was an ordinary man. Did he truly think his noble birth was so easy to disguise? Everyone in town knew of him, whispered about him and pointed behind their fans as he walked down the street. But if he wished to be anonymous, who was she to inquire his reason? Nor would she demand formality from him. Her heart beat all the harder whenever he said her Christian name. He pronounced it with the softest of G's, ending in a sigh. It made him sound like a Frenchman. Or a lover. That thought made it difficult to look him in the eye. She dropped her gaze as she curtsied, to compose herself before returning his smile. "What may I help you with today?" "Nothing important. I have come to find a trinket." He pinched his fingers together to indicate how insignificant it was likely to be. "For my cousin." In her experience, the smaller he made the purchase sound, the more money he was about to spend. "Another cousin, Mr. Standish," she said with a sly smile. "And I assume, as always, it is a female cousin?" He sighed theatrically. "The burdens of a large family, Margot." After one such visit, she had taken the time to check Debrett's, and discovered that his family was exceptionally tiny, and, other than his mother and one sister, exclusively male. Such a large family.